Behind me sits a 1968 SS 396 Camaro. From the factory, it was a factory, big block, factory SS Camaro. And it's been in my family for 23 years. My dad and I drove down to the border right next to Mexico to buy this thing when I was like 14 years old. And we bought it. And I learned how to drive stick shift in this Camaro. And so it was actually when I was like 16, I was driving over to one of my friend's houses, and the clutch pedal just went all the way to the floor and wouldn't come back up. It just dropped. We realized it broke off a little pivot ball on the engine. So to fix it, we needed to pull the engine out. So my dad and I pull this engine out. And we're like, well, while the engine's out, there's some things we'd like to do, so let's go ahead and work on those on the engine. And then we're like, well, while the engine's also out, let's go ahead and, paint some things in the engine bay, get it cleaned up, because this thing hadn't had any love for a while. And then we're like, well, while we got all this stuff going on over here, it's a good time to fix some of the interior stuff that was going to take some time and put the car down. So we'll just pull the seats out. And then we're like, man, while the seats are out, sure would be a nice time to pull the carpet out so we could fix the rust holes in the floorboards. And then we're like, well, we're already doing metal work. We might as well start, fixing some of the dents and stuff around the car. And piece by piece, bolt by bolt, this entire car came apart. We didn't really plan on it just becoming a full frame-off restoration, but that's what it became. Cars are actually not too hard to take apart, but they're hard to put back together, especially because we took it apart over like 2 years, and then I went to college, and I didn't come back home for 9 years. And then I had babies and work and life. My dad did all the body work on this car, him and a buddy of his. Like in the late hours of the night, they'd go out and work in his shop, painted this thing, this beautiful red color. It was green before. Got all the dents out, all the body is straight and beautiful. He's got new fenders actually on the front. They welded in new quarter panels in the back. They fixed the doors. I actually did the bodywork on the trunk lid. And then he started collecting new parts and keeping the old parts. There's a bunch of old parts still here as well. And then he lost interest because he has some other cars. He's got a couple Corvettes. He's got an old truck, and everything old breaks. Don't they? 64 Impala that's leaning because you have a blown hydraulic. Everything breaks. The more stuff you have, the more stuff breaks. And so he got burned out on fixing this car because it's literally, we've had it for 23 years. It's been apart for 21 years. It's been in various phases of not being together. So I was at my dad's house looking at the Camaro, and he was like, yeah, I think I'm going to sell that Camaro. And I was like, wait, what? Like, we've had that car for 23 years, and now you're going to sell it? Like, when it's been apart for 21 of the 23 years? Like, we barely drove this thing in the grand scheme of things. And he was like, it needs so much work, Matt. And Matt, I'm a Corvette guy. He loves the C2 Corvette. He's like, I want to put my work into that. I don't have time for this thing. He's like, I just need to sell it and get rid of it. And I was like, Dad, when you're gone, there's only 2 things I want. There's 2 things that you have that make me think of you. One is that Camaro. The other is a Colt 1911 that he has, and I think it's awesome. But one is that car. Like, Dad and I remember when we got this car. I remember it clear as day, like it was yesterday. Dad and I getting this thing, and me driving around it, and him teaching me how to clutch. I was like, you can't sell that car. I was like, I'll buy it from you. He said, okay, but I'm not gonna sell it to you. I'll give it to you. So Dad gave me this Camaro. And I told him, Dad, I'm super busy. I got a resort and stuff now, so obviously I'm not gonna have time to put this Camaro together. I was like, so maybe like, I don't know, 2-3 years down the road, I'll start spending time working on it and get it going. He was like, cool, sounds good. Here's the deal, Demolitia. I lied. I lied to my old man. I'm not waiting 2 or 3 years. We're putting this freaking thing together now. Right now. I actually called Brandon at Muscle Rod Shop, and I was like, I got a Camaro. I have all the parts. Dad has collected everything over the years, and except the engine. But everything else is here. Can you put it all together for me? Can you get your guys in the shop? Y'all put it together in 1 month. And he was like, no. And I was like, but I need you to, because if it's gone, I can keep my dad out of the shop for a month. But if he comes over here and he sees the Camaro's gone, he's gonna be like, what are you doing? So I have to keep him out of the shop for a month. So I gave Brandon 1 month, and he was like, I don't know, Matt. And I was like, how cool would it be if I roll up to my dad's house in a car that he thought would never go back together, that he has seen apart for over 2 decades, and I drive up to his house in it while he thinks it's still apart in my barn, how cool would that be? And Brandon goes, all right, yeah, that'd be pretty tight. And he said he could do it. So Brandon, a muscle rod, making dreams come true. And I'm not really saying I'm gonna give this car to my dad. I mean, I would if he wanted it, but I have a feeling I'm gonna roll up and he'll be like, sweet, yeah, here's the title. He still has the title, it's in his name still. But he'll just give it to me, I have a feeling. So I'm really not doing this as I'm gonna make this car for my dad. I'm making it to see my dad excited and go for a ride with my dad. I'm making this car for me. If my dad wants a car, I'll gladly give it to him because I'll get it eventually. Just kidding, Dad, I love you. I actually got with some of the boys from Muscle Rod and we started making a list. They came over here, we laid everything out on the ground and started trying to figure out what we have, what we need, because it has almost everything. It's all the trim pieces, like there's no trim on it right now, but like it's all here. There's all the trim in the trunk. There's a gas tank in the trunk that actually mounts under the car. This is a 2-hand thing. Maybe I can do it with one. Ha! All the interior pieces are here. Like we have most everything. Like the dash is all not in, but I have most of that. So we started laying everything out, trying to figure out what all we have. And there's our gauges are right down there. And seeing some of the stuff's kind of old and broken, like it looked good 20 years ago, but it's kind of, dusty and old. So seeing what just needed to be replaced. Like a lot of marker lights, we have them, but they're kind of ugly. So we're gonna get new tail lights for this thing. We made a big list of everything we need to order. We talked to Holley and Summit. They wanted to be a part of this as well. So they sent us some things. Let's see what we have in these boxes so far. These are from our good buddies at Summit. They totally hooked it up. We have new clutch. We've got some sweet headers. And you might notice those are pretty big ports. Yeah, those are big block headers. This car from the factory was a big block car, but when we bought it, it had a small block 350 in it. So it needs a big block. So yeah, we got something in the works. It's gonna be pretty sweet. We also have sweet new radiator with electric fans. We also have a big block bell housing. So thanks to Summit for getting us all this stuff. We also got some stuff from our buddies at Holley. They sent us a distributor, they sent us a carburetor. They also sent us a serpentine whole belt system, whole front accessory kit and everything for our car. It's gonna look super clean, but it's not here because I actually sent it all to the engine shop because they're already working on that engine. And that will be, I think, the next video. So you're actually lucky because this build's gonna take us 1 month. I've actually been kind of working behind the scenes even a little longer before I film this video. So it's gonna take like 2 months to really piece together. You guys are gonna get all the excitement in like a few days, which is gonna be really cool because I have to wait to release this first video until my dad already knows about the car, or else he'll find out we're building a car a month early. So I want it to be a surprise, but you guys benefit from that because I'm gonna hold these videos until he's seen it and then release them all in a row. So this is part 1 of a little mini series we're gonna be doing of rebuilding my dad's 68 Camaro that has been apart for over 2 decades. It has been a roller for 21 years. And all of a sudden, like that, we're gonna surprise my dad. We're just doing it to see the smile. I just wanna see my dad go, holy cow, look what you did. Or for him to go, what happened? And just be totally dumbfounded. So part 2, coming up really soon. We are taking the car to Muscle Rod, and then we're also gonna be picking up the engine, which is currently being built, and taking it to Muscle Rod as well. And this engine, while it is a big block, is no normal big block. It is insane. Chevrolet never put this motor in a car like this. You're gonna like it. And this is not gonna be a race car. This is not gonna be a drag strip car or an autocross car or anything like that. We want this thing to be a nice Sunday cruiser. I wanna go driving around Main Street of my hometown and just playing. I wanna take my kids to get ice cream in it. That kind of a thing. I wanna take my old man to get ice cream in this thing. So we're not building any race car, nothing crazy. This is gonna be a pretty classic build, aside from a little bit of upgrade with the engine, which they're tasteful. You're gonna like them. I've been looking at this car in my dad's shop for the last 20 years, for over half my life. And it's just been a part. And that all is gonna change in the next 30 days. Thanks for watching part 1 in our little mini series. I will see you back very soon for part 2, and you're gonna like it. I love you! And I'll see you next time.
Oh. Hey, what camera is that? Number...
Shut up! Don't tell Mare.